Good evening, guys, and happy Tuesday to all of your sunshiny faces. I told you guys that Tuesday's sort of the start or the kickoff to our sort of Thanksgiving break vacation sort of for everybody, but I told you guys, since everybody was going to be sort of home finally and off, that we were going to be doing my birthday. We were going out for dinner, and then we were also going to do desserts as well, which I did wind up snapping pictures from the amazing food we ended up getting. So like I was saying, Matthew, well, today was Jack's last day of school for, until he goes back to school next Monday, and then Matthew is also off as well, and he ended up coming home from school today. And my dad does have work tomorrow though, but I want to say he's probably off on Friday. So he does have, like I said, work tomorrow, but he did wind up going to Walmart. He spent about 25 bucks on those couple extra things that I told you guys that we needed for Thanksgiving. But in addition to that too, because he ended up picking up that Bob Evans, the mashed potatoes, even though we're not doing that for Thanksgiving, but I just wanted to have it extra in the because it's free with the whole Thanksgiving freebie stuff with Ibotta. So he actually got $4 back in addition to that. But there was a couple things we needed, like we needed a giant thing of peanut butter, not really for anything, we were just out, and so they actually have like it's bigger than the 32 ounces. I want to say it's like 64 ounces or something like that, of like a giant thing of peanut butter at Walmart. So that's actually, again, the price I figured works out to be better than Aldi's price for their 32 ounces. So I had him go ahead and pick that up. I told you guys too, we were checking the pantry to see if we had graham crackers, because my dad was kind of convinced that we did. Found out we didn't, so we needed that for the cheesecake, which we might not even wind up making because we had an extra one of the desserts my mom ended up getting for my birthday. We had an extra one left over, so I think we might not be making that, because again, it's just our family and like the 5 of us, so we definitely we don't need that much food, so we might just save that for like Christmas. Since we have all this stuff anyway, and for the most part it really won't go bad, especially before Christmas. So there's that. And then also too, he ended up we needed like good Chinette plates, because we do those normally just to kind of save from the hassle of like Christmas and like New Year's, 4th of July, Thanksgiving, Easter, if we like do it at our house, just because again, we don't want to have to do dishes. So we ended up picking up those, which were not very cheap, but there's enough in there where I think it was a 40 count. We definitely will not wind up using all 40 of them. Like I said, there's 5 of us, so we probably even have more left over after that, but I think I'm going to save those for Christmas as well. And then he also got big like aluminum like baking dishes, because again to save on not doing dishes on Thanksgiving, we're going to probably wind up making the stuff that we have to make ahead of time, or just make the stuff that we have to make anyway and then use those for I'm planning on doing it probably the mashed potatoes and the mac and cheese at least in there. So like I said, that will hopefully keep us from doing as many dishes. And then also to I forgot what else they ended up picking up. Like I said, there was like a handful of little things too. Oh, also to the Jello. My mom needed peach Jello to do the Jello like side dish. So, and then also to the Bob Evans mashed potatoes, those were like $3.80 something cents, but we got $4 back, so technically we actually made a couple cents on them as well. So anyways, that's what we ended up picking up, or my dad did today at Walmart. I sent him out to go and get that because he was supposed to go on his way home from work, but then he wasn't home from work early, so he ended up going like once he ended up picking Jack up. He was actually planning on going tomorrow, but I told him it would be absolutely madhouse if he tried to go tomorrow. And in addition to that, my mom wants to pre-make some of the stuff, and again too, we needed a couple of the ingredients as well that we didn't have. It was mainly the Jello that she sort of said, and then we were also thinking too, like, oh well, we need Matthew to pre-make the cheesecake probably as well. But then again, we found out that we actually don't, because we'll probably just wind up having the other half of the pie that we ended up not even having for my birthday today, or else to the other full pie that my mom ended up getting. So we ended up doing tonight, we ended up going out to a restaurant. Originally I sort of thought, and my mom sort of thought too, that it was like Italian. It sort of is. It has like sort of Italian food on it, but I think that it's a little bit more like Mediterranean, which, oh my gosh guys, was so good. We ended up getting like a dip, sort of like for appetizers. It had hummus and like a feta dip, and then something else too with like pita. Oh my gosh, it was so good. And then I ended up getting like a panini with like, it was like a mozzarella, like tomato, spinach panini. It was like, I think it was called rustic grilled cheese panini, and I think it had feta in there as well, maybe, or maybe it didn't. I think it had like pesto, and it also had like a balsamic glaze on it. Oh my goodness guys, it was so good. I did wind up snapping a picture of that. And then everybody else, like Matthew, Jack I think just got a burger. So they had like, again, a sort of a variety of stuff. Like they had pizzas, pastas, again the panini. They had like sort of like, again, American food too, like burgers, and they had like salad. But like I said, sort of everything was like sort of like, I was thinking too, sort of a little more like Mediterranean-ish as well. So and that's what my mom said too. She was like, I actually think this was a Mediterranean restaurant, not really like an Italian restaurant, and like it wasn't like Olive Garden sort of. So I think, like I said, Matthew ended up getting spaghetti and meatballs. My mom ended up also getting a panini, and my dad got something that was like the special of the day, which was like some type of, I don't know, some type of pasta also as well. But like I said too, like mine with like the balsamic and like, you know, like the mozzarella and the, like it sort of reminded me a little bit, like the pesto was like a little bit like almost a, I think I was telling you guys, I sort of wanted to make, when we had such an overflow of tomatoes from our garden and basil too, I wanted to do, there's like caprese, like pasta salad. That was sort of what I wanted to make, and I didn't end up ever making it though. But it sort of reminded me almost of like that sort of like caprese salad, but like in a panini almost. It was really good. So like I said, I ended up getting that, and then also too, we came back home, we ended up doing presents and dessert, and we ended up getting, my mom got because I saw it online and I was like, ooh, I really want to try this out. They're pies, but they're ice cream cookie dough pies. Oh my goodness, they were so good. And I'll be honest guys, normally when I wind up having like a tiny little slice of something, I'm like, this is just too rich, I can never wind up finishing it. This was rich, but for some reason I was actually able to pretty much eat an entire slice of it. I was like, wow. Like it wasn't really rich, but it was like sort of, you know, it was sweet, but it wasn't like super like, I don't know, overpowering sort of sweet. It just tasted really good. So I ended up getting the like Reese's like cake or pie, sort of like ice cream, like I said, cookie dough cake pie sort of. Keep saying cake. No, it was really more of a pie, and so it was so good. And then my mom though, like I was saying, she got a second one for, that's like an apple something, for, she was going to bring it for Thanksgiving, but we're actually not going to be able to go to Thanksgiving because we're having with family on Sunday, but because my mom has to work, and then also too because Matthew has to leave, and we're also trying to, this week we're going to be doing hopefully all of our Christmas stuff, and then also too because we're bringing the Christmas stuff down, I want to try and get the attic like cleaned out, and also to the upstairs like cleaned up, and start sort of our projects with that as well. So again, if it was like, because again, Matthew was probably gonna have to leave even before that, we were like, well, it'd be me, my dad, and Jack pretty much going possibly at that point. And then also too, well, we're again gonna be working on most likely the attic upstairs stuff this weekend as well. Schedule wise for everybody, it probably is not going to wind up working. So my mom got the second cake though, because I think she was going to bring it for Thanksgiving. Like I said, it's like something apple, but now we realize that it's probably just going to be for us here. We are most likely going to not be doing the the cheesecake. I will show you guys a couple cool things I ended up getting for my birthday presents. So I told you guys how to, it's funny too, right before we ended up leaving to go to the restaurant, I was trying to get in another chapter of my book. And so I was like, because it was like, I don't know, 12 pages or something like that, the chapter I was reading, and I was like, okay, it's not that long, but I'll try and get that one done before we go, and then when I get back, there's only like 10 pages, so if I'm tired, I can still probably get through it, because I told you guys how sometimes I wind up reading and wind up falling asleep sometimes halfway through, because if like a chapter's too long or something like that, I don't wind up like I'll be like, okay, I can get through a couple more pages, and I wind up falling asleep, or I start like dozing off sort of while I'm reading, and then completely forget what I'm reading, and then have to go back and do it again. So I was like, I'm gonna try and power through one chapter now, and then hopefully get to a little bit of a shorter chapter I can read when I get home, if in case we stay up sort of late and I'm tired. So anyways though, because again, I told you guys I'm starting to super get into reading, which is weird because like I never really liked reading. I was never big into like books or anything like that, but all of a sudden over like the last pretty much year, I think it was actually like January of really last year, all of a sudden I've like finished so many books. I think I finished more books in the last year than I probably have maybe finished in like my teen years at least. I don't want to say my whole life, but like probably at least like, you know, everything that I was required to read for school, I probably read more than that in just the last year. So but it's just, I need things that actually pique my interest, that I'm interested in reading, and not stuff that I'm forced to read, you know. And even to like stuff that I was like we would have like, you know, time where we could pick the books that we wanted to read in school and stuff like that. Like I still feel like I didn't actually pick interesting things that I was really into reading. And so, you know, it was just sort of like, oh, like they have that on display in the school library, I'll just pick that one and read it or whatever. It was like I don't know, I really didn't like get into reading, or maybe also too I didn't really appreciate that much of some of the books that I was reading as well. I do remember there was one series in middle school that I was actually kind of really into. It was some type of like tween sort of like high school drama sort of like little book. Wasn't even really anything I don't think popular, like maybe a little bit at the time, but I was kind of like into that. I think it was like a 3-book series or something like that, and I actually want to say I maybe did finish reading all of those books. I want to say that was probably the most that I was ever really engaged and read something that I was sort of interested in. But again, most of the time I wound up really not finding anything that I really love. So my mom actually ended up getting me this book, which was actually really funny because I ended up adding a couple of, I told you guys how I like absolutely love Egyptian mythology and history and Egyptology and like all that kind of stuff. I am like huge into that. So I actually ended up putting on my Christmas list this year, again, because I've never really put books on my Christmas list. I ended up putting a couple of like Egyptian sort of like Greek god books and like mythology, and then another one too that was more about like just ancient Egypt in general as well, which I found really interesting. And like they looked really good, like the illustration, like some of them had like illustrations and stuff like that, and I thought it was really cool. I didn't want to put a ton of like, especially like the Egyptian books on my Christmas list, so I was like, I'll just pick out a couple ones that like I saw that looked really cool to me. But that was one of the ones that I was looking at, and I was like, oh, I do really want to try this. This one to me seemed more of like a story sort of like about like the Egyptian like female pharaohs, and so like so it was hilarious that I was literally a couple days ago like looking at that book, and I was like, oh, okay, like if I wind up again deciding I was going to put more books on my Christmas list, honestly I just also too don't want a ton of books right now because I have no space left on like any of my bookshelves. So I was like, I don't want to put that many on there. This was one of the ones that I was probably going to wind up putting on my Christmas list probably for next year if I ended up getting some of the ones that, you know, like I said, I had on my Christmas list. So that was really cool. And then also too, guys, because again I'm super into reading, right, I actually ended up getting this as well, which I took out already, and I've already been reading books off of it. I started 2 new books on it. The Kindle Paperwhite, which is like just a like an e-reader sort of, and so I thought that was really cool because we have Amazon Prime already, so there's already some stuff that I get for free on that. But with it I got 3 months free of like the Kindle Unlimited, I think, which is where the books I've been reading have been off of. And it's so cool because I'm not even gonna lie, guys, when I first opened it up, like it looks like this, right? So not the, this was was the other thing I got too. It's like a little case, and you can like hold, it's got like a little holder, or you can like tilt it up, whatever. But like from the actual thing right on here, I thought that this was actually, when I first opened it up, it like comes on, and I was like, why is there like a paper screen over the top of it? It looks like actual paper on the screen. And like I said, I was like so confused, because I was like, how do you actually, like, I thought it was like one of those like, you know, like stickers, you know, that like you have to peel off, and I thought there was just instructions like when I first opened it up, like on how to turn it on or whatever, because that's what it was telling me to do. And I was like, I don't get it. Like, how do I get this thing off of here? I didn't realize that that was actually the like the actual like Kindle, and that it was, you know, actually looks like real paper. So I thought that was so cool. But so it does give you sort of still like the actual like feeling of like really reading a book, and like the visual of actually reading a book, which is really cool. It's obviously too a lot different than having an actual physical book, and because it is in black and white, obviously there's some things like, you know, like I was saying too, with some of those other books that I had put on my Christmas list that I did want were more for the illustration too. Like that was actually a lot of really what I put on my Christmas list, which is why, like I said too, I didn't wind up putting the one that I ended up getting on my Christmas list, because I sort of just saw them as more like, again, like maps, guides, sort of things like that, than like reading, if that makes sense. So those were originally sort of more what I put on my Christmas list than the actual like book reading. So that's why, again, I ended up getting that one, and that was what I was going to add too. If I was like, if I'm going to add more books, that's going to be one that goes on that list. I started reading a Egyptian mythology and also Greek mythology, 2 different books. The Greek mythology one actually has like 4 books in the series that's like also Egyptian, Greek, Roman, I think, maybe, and Norse mythology, or no, maybe it's Celtic mythology, I think, and not the Roman. But they have 4 different ones, and so I think I can get all of them still, like I said, on there, and that would be really cool to read all of those. So I got that, and then also too, guys, my last little sort of surprise gift is sort of more a little bit for the dogs. But I had actually probably a year ago, I saw like videos of dogs doing those really cool button things where like they can, you know, you can train the dogs to like hit a button so that they will ask for things, like if they want food or a cookie or a treat or to go outside or they want to play or whatever. So my mom had seen that originally too, and she was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool, I want you to train the dogs on how to do this. So she ended up getting me a set of 6 of the buttons to train them on how to do it. So they learn how to like press the button so that they will like say the different things that they can, you know, like you program it, I think, and like record like outside, and then when they hit it, it says, you know, replays and says outside, and so then they start to learn how to actually talk to you, sort of. It's sort of more of an association thing with like the buttons, you know, and like learning how to, like, again, when you like, for example, when Bliss was actually really little, we used to have a bell on the back door, like, of my mom's office. I think at the time it was somebody's bedroom possibly, but we had a bell over there, and then when she wanted to go outside, she'd ring the bell. So it's pretty much kind of the same concept, except again, they're learning how to click these. But I've seen it where you can put all of them in the same spot, and the dogs start to either realize the color or, you know, again, what other type of association that they learn, because I know dogs are sort of semi-colorblind or whatever. Originally when I was little, they were like, people were like, dogs are definitely colorblind. Now they're like, they're semi-colorblind, not completely. Like, yeah, I don't know. But anyways, so again, they start to associate, and you can like put all of them together, and like the dogs will like step on, you know, or again, I've seen even cats learn how to do it, and like they can like step on them and like click them, and then they'll actually like start to like ask you things and like respond to you and have like a full-blown conversation. I've seen a lot of like dogs and cats learn how to actually sort of communicate through using these, which is really cool. And I was like, honestly, I feel like Bravo would be scared of them. And honestly too, Bliss is getting sort of old, so I would love to teach her because I think she's totally smart enough to learn it, but she's kind of getting to that old lady stage where, like, today she was barking and I was like, what are you barking at? Nothing is here. Like, she was barking at the front door and I was like, nobody is here. And she's starting to get into that little, like, turn into a little bit of an old lady dog, where again, I think she thinks she hears things, or she thinks that she sees things, or even too, if she sees something, like, I don't know if maybe her vision's going a little bit too, and so like she thinks she sees something and it's like, no, that wasn't, you know, that's not a person, or you know. So I think the best person suited for the job, again, I actually think Bliss is smarter than Charlie, but I think that Charlie will probably be the one that picks this up, and because he's very, very food driven, so for him I think this would be perfect, like, to teach him how to do things that, like, you know, again, if we end up leaving these on the floor in the living room, he can just tell us, like, I want to go outside, you know, I want a treat, I want to eat, you know, whatever it is, I want to play with the toy, I want to go for a walk, something like that. Like, we can train him to do that, and I think, like I said, he would probably be the one of the smarter of the three. Again, I think Bliss probably the smartest, I think Charlie maybe next, and Bravo, I don't want to say the poor little thing is clueless, but sometimes he just, I think he gets too scared of things. Like, he is, and he's not food driven at all. So for him, I think it's a little harder to encourage him to do things, like, you know, and if he's already, again, maybe winds up turning out that he's scared of it, you know, then I think we're really sort of like, he'll never figure it out. He won't wind up doing it. But like I said, I really think Bliss would totally, because she's also food driven, I think that she would totally catch on to it and really want to do it. But I think, again, Charlie's way more food driven than her. So I think if he started to, again, associate cookies with one of them, and then we started to move into like outside, you know, and he likes to go outside and he likes to play in the backyard, so if we started to do that and he started to, again, associate that, you know, with having to click a button to ask to do those things, I think that that's kind of cool. But some of the videos that I've seen of dogs doing that is, like I said, amazing. Like the full-on, like, it seems like conversations that they can actually have with, like, again, associating these different type of buttons. Like, I've seen like dogs actually ask like where, you know, like a person is, that, like, you know, like, oh, where's so-and-so, you know, and like, then, you know, like, you're actually having a conversation with the dog, like, that seems like it's actually genuinely curious about what's going on. Like, and they do start to associate, again, certain buttons with certain people or certain things, or, you know, again, certain rewards, or, again, whatever it might be. If they start to do that, then they can, you know, learn like a lot of those buttons, and actually sort of, again, sort of seems like they're having a conversation with you, but it's sort of just them, like, you know, asking for things that they want. And it, you know, like I said, it's pretty cool, but I think that it'd be cool to teach them that. So that was what I ended up getting for my birthday, which, like I said, I thought was really awesome. And also too, Matthew and Jack ended up getting me an Amazon gift card so that I can use it to get some more books, like for any of the books that I want to pay for, or my little Kindle. So, like I said, I thought that was really cool, and like I said, I've already started using it. I busted it out already, and like I said, I read the introduction chapter of one of the, well, actually both of the sort of the first books. So anyways though, guys, I'm gonna take a shower now and get to bed. I will see you guys all in tomorrow's vlog. If you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give a big old thumbs up. If you guys are new, we'd love it if you'd subscribe, and I'll see all of your sunshiny faces tomorrow. So bye, guys.